Welcome back to Professor Hartman. Today is a Papa Hartman version where I try to share some of my wisdom as a husband and a father and a person who's lived 50 plus years and hopefully learned a few things. Today, I'm going to be reflecting on the interview that changed my life forever, Jeff Pearlman's John Rocker story. It is based on and reacting to a video that he just put out, the interview that changed his life forever, the John Rocker story. Jeff Pearlman is I believe, a 10-time New York Times best-selling author. He is a sports journalist, very accomplished sports journalist. I am a big fan. His YouTube channel is brand new, but I'm already a subscriber. The time that I wrote this blog post, his video only had a few hundred views, and I really hope that he sees this and sees what an impact his story had on me and probably a lot of other people like me. In brief, his story was about a relief pitcher for the Braves who was not a good person. We'll go through. I mean, let's go ahead and go through some of the clips. Let's go ahead and react.
I actually called John Rocker's agent, and his name was Joe Sambito. He was a former Major League Baseball pitcher. He pitched mainly for the Houston Astros. And I called Joe, and I said, hey, this is Jeff Pearlman from SI. I was working on the story about John, and it never ran. My editors really want me to come down and freshen it up. And Joe Sambito, I remember this to this day, is like, oh, you're going to love him. You need to come down. It's going to be awesome. John is just the greatest. He's misunderstood. He's awesome. And I've always thought back at that moment, I've mentioned it many times, that you need to know your client. Like, you need to know your client. You need to know who you're putting in the car with the reporter. But you're going to love John. You're going to love John. All right.
So I love this beginning because Jeff very accurately points out the fact that everybody said, "Oh, you're gonna love him. He's great." And if you're this guy's agent, you probably know things about him, and you should know. Don't take a New York journalist and stick him in a car with this guy for hours and hours, because the real personality is going to come out. And when the real personality comes out, well, here we go.
And I'm meeting John Rocker outside a mall. And he's picking me up in his car. And John Rocker picks me up in his car.
By the way, I've sped this up to 1.5. Jeff doesn't talk like this, but I wanted to get to the reacting part quickly because you really should go and listen to his entire video. It is 30 minutes of absolute insanity in a good way.
Oh, yo, bro, what's up? Hey, hey, blah, blah. We get in the car, and we're driving down the freeway in Atlanta. And my first sign that I'm with a slightly deranged individual is there's a car in front of us, and it's driving erratically. And Rocker goes to me, fucking Asian women that can't fucking drive. And we pass the car, and it's a white man driving the car.
Of course, at the time this story comes out, I believe I'm engaged to my wife. She's an Asian woman. So, yeah, I didn't love that story. And keep in mind, I should have mentioned before this, I was a big fan of John Rocker. I'll explain a little more when I get to a little later point in the blog, but I was a really big fan.
It has been arranged that I will accompany John Rocker as he speaks to disadvantaged.
So this is the next story where he's going to talk about that they've been done driving and they're going to a press event.
Kids at a school in Bumblefuck, Georgia, and I'm with him. And we're driving. And at one point I say to him, so do you enjoy doing these? Do you enjoy doing these appearances? Fuck no, man. I fucking hate this shit. My agent wants me to do it. Like, I fucking want to do this shit. Blah, blah, blah. We're driving along. We get to the school. It's a sad little school. And John Rocker is it's a big deal that John Rocker's there. And comes out, and they play, when John Rocker would enter a game for the Braves, they used to play the Twisted Sister song, I Wanna Rock. I wanna rock, rock, dun, 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 dun. It was a staple of the 80s, a very bad staple of the 80s, but this song, Rocker would come out. So we're at the school, music comes on, I wanna rock. Rocker comes out, the kids go crazy. Rocker's actually great. Seems like he's enjoying it, he's awesome. We're leaving the school. John Rocker sees the Twisted Sister, I think, greatest hits CD on the table, reaches out, pulls it, takes it. Literally steals the CD from this little bumblefuck school. We go to lunch.
I mean, what a guy, I mean, you're with a Sports Illustrated journalist and saying you hate going to press events. Like what is going on here?
And we spend the day together, and he is the worst human being I've probably ever been around. He calls a black teammate a fat monkey. That was first baseman Randall Simon. He hates gays. He hates New York City. He hates foreigners. And people have asked me through the years, how do you know he was speaking on the record? How do you know he was speaking on the record? And three things. Number one, I introduced myself, Jeff Pearlman from Sports Illustrated. Number two, I have a notepad out with a pen the entire time taking notes. Number three, I have a tape recorder, and I ask at the beginning, do you mind if I take? But number four, the weirdest of all, At one point, he says, dude, I want to tell you something, but it's got to be off the record. And I'm like, okay. And I'm actually thinking, you've told me you hate foreigners. You called a teammate a fat monkey. You told me you hate speaking to disadvantaged kids. What amazing tidbit is coming off the record? And he goes to me, fucking Bobby Valentine, the Mets manager, that guy fucking sucks. He's not even a good fucking manager. And I'm like, that's it? Like, that's your big revelation? At the time, I totally forgot about this. At one point in the day, his girlfriend was driving with us in the car. In fact, I was in the back seat for a while, and his girlfriend was in the front seat, and John was driving, and I'm literally like the kid in the back, I'm like this. And his girlfriend was in the car, and she was very, very nice. I remember this. And as soon as she left, he called his other girlfriend. Like, as soon as she left, he called his other girlfriend. I swear to God, I totally forgot about that until this moment sitting here doing this. He was the worst human being ever. Like, the worst human being ever.
I mean, that's just like every possible way. He's just a terrible, terrible human being. Yeah, and this. If you're wondering, well, what happened to this guy? Well, he got demoted. He had to go to sensitivity training. Honestly, he was never the same player. I don't know if somehow it messed with his mental. Like, part of his attitude was, I'm so awesome, and then the fact that so many people didn't like him. They made fun of him on Saturday Night Live. He was a national joke. I don't know if that shook his confidence. Maybe part of him being so good was thinking he was invincible and everybody telling him he was the best. And, that's just how mentally weak he was, that all it took was the truth of him being revealed that he was shattered. But yeah, it didn't go well for him from that point forward.
So it's funny. I wanted to find out what the latest development with John Rocker is in his life. And I picked up my phone because I was eagerly anticipating John Rocker's upcoming fight, sponsored by Barstool, with Patrick Mahomes Sr. Alas, it has been shut down because Patrick Mahomes' wife is like, don't do this. So the fight didn't happen. And I was thinking, like, what is more pathetic? Like, what is more pathetic than in the year 2025, John Rocker fighting Patrick Mahomes' dad in a boxing match arranged by Barstool? And that kind of sums up the entire aftermath of this whole thing for John Rocker. He's just a loser. Like, he's actually a loser. Everything I wrote about was him. He's pathetic. He's a loser. He joined Twitter recently, or X or whatever, and he's really, really good at discussing Michelle Obama's penis. Like, this seems to be a thing for him, Michelle Obama's penis. And I really got a good taste for John Rocker in the aftermath of the story, and then the aftermath of our confrontation.
Jeff, if you're listening, yes, it really did change my life. Originally, I was pissed at you. I was mad about this article. I was like, how dare you? How could you do this? You betrayed his confidence. I thought it was a hit piece. I was totally pro Rocker. And at that time, my Rocker supportive stance actually made my wife seriously question whether I was the right man for her and whether she should actually get married. We were engaged. But as we discussed it more and more, she watched as I kept an open mind. I listened to her different opinion, and my opinion slowly evolved and changed to be more correct. And that was reassurance to her. And it added to what she's always said is one of my most important assets to her is my intelligence and my reason, like two things that she's always found attractive about me. And the fact that I was able to change such a strong opinion meant a lot to her. But on a larger scale, it was a huge moment in my overall transformation from, at the time, I was a Southern conservative Republican. I had been a speechwriter and researcher for Strom Thurmond of South Carolina, a very conservative senator. I'd been a page and an intern when I was younger. And now I am a very far left, highly progressive liberal, and couldn't be any more different politically. So it was moments like this that changed my thinking, that were the disturbance in the force that just altered the way that I looked at the world. To give a little bit more background, at the time, 1999 was kind of the middle of the Atlanta Braves dynasty. And I was a huge Braves fan. I went to University of Georgia Law School. You can see I'm repping them a little bit here. I was a huge Braves fan. And they were an incredible team, but the real weakness they had, they won 14 consecutive division titles, won 5 NL pennants, but only one World Series. And the main reason was they didn't have a dominant closer. And then along comes this beast, John Rocker, with 3 dominant pitches, which is a whole other story, and a swagger that just made him really fun. Just blew people off the plate. And to make it even more fun, he was from Macon. That's where my parents were living at the time. And I lived there briefly in between Georgetown University and law school. When his when Jeff's article broke, my family and I all thought it was an unfair hit piece. That we thought that Jeff had taken advantage of confidence and pretended to be a friend and tricked this young pitcher who was unsavvy. And perhaps maybe he even goaded him into saying things. There were rumors about that. Jeff talks about that in his video also. Some of the scurrilous rumors that he had goaded him into it and egged him on into saying things. And if we heard the whole tape, we would see this. Now, I never defended the content of what Rocker said, but my argument had been things like, "Oh, he thought he was saying these things to a buddy, not publicly and on the record," or "Hey, guys shit talk around their friends. It's no big deal. Doesn't really mean anything." Of course, secretly, as a sports fan, what I was really thinking was, "Fuck, we need this guy. I'm sick of Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz handing over the ball to some scrub who blows it for us." So yeah, the dirty secret of sports fans accepting a lot of things when the player's good enough. But my wife, she wasn't having it. She disagreed immediately. She said, publicly or privately, if you say those things, you're a bad person. The moment you speak them out loud, you can and should be judged for them. And your friends should call you out for shitty opinions to your face and help you be a better person. And if she'd heard my secret opinion, she probably would have said something like, "You care too much about sports, honey." And the thing is, she was right. And I think in my heart and soul, I knew she was right off the bat. We would discuss it, and every time we discuss it, she'd whittle away a little bit. I'd come a little closer to her opinion. Of course, the key is I never defended what he actually said, the content, because that racist, sexist, hateful bigotry was gross. But there's no place for that kind of hateful thinking. And as soon as you speak it out loud, you should be judged, and your friends should call you out. If you have a friend who says stuff like that, you should say something to them. You should help your friends grow. That's how we help our friends. And if you're with a journalist and they've got a tape recorder and a notepad out and you say those things, you're a freaking idiot. But the final point of this blog post and kind of this video is a thank you to Jeff Pearlman. More importantly, a thank you to my wife, of course. But Jeff, thank you for making this video. Thank you for going down to Georgia and getting the real story and exposing him, even though it was a complete change from your original story, and never walking it back, never apologizing for sharing the truth, and taking all the hits. Taking his in person, scary, threatening behavior, taking the hits from other PR departments who then didn't want to let you have time with their players. That was really brave and something I have huge respect for. It's why I think journalism is so important, even sports journalism. This is why free speech, freedom of the press, and the First Amendment are so important, because telling stories like this, telling the truth about stories like this, can have a significant impact on people. It can change lives for the better. And just like this article, while it may seem trivial about just some rage mongering, hateful bigot, it can affect other people positively. And in a way, it's what I hope that my blog and this video and this YouTube channel, I hope it will do. I hope people will see these things and it will change them and help them with their journey. And the last thing I'll show to wrap this up is one last clip from Jeff's video. And once again, please go watch his entire video. It's excellent.
But I say to John Rocker, who I'm sure will see this, I have the tapes. If you ever want to go over them, if you ever want me to put them on social media so you can play them for your supporters and show that I am a liberal, Jewish, in your words, liar, I am happy to make these available and put them on YouTube. So I'm actually, as a journalist, I don't think it's really appropriate to take interviews that you did for print and make them an audio file. But with your permission, I'm asking you, I'm looking straight into the camera, John, with your permission, I'm happy to take the John Rocker tapes and make them available. And you can have your followers, your fans, and those people who believe Michelle Obama is really a man, listen and decide what was said on that day in 1999.
Well, Jeff, I'll say right to the camera, thanks again for telling this story. Thanks for telling it again on TikTok. Thanks for telling it now on YouTube. I hope you see this and hear my thank you. And John Rocker, you heard it. If he's a liar, tell him to show the tapes. Let's hear him. Let's hear it once and for all. But to everyone else out there, the closing message is really to always be challenging your thoughts. Surround yourself with people who will challenge you and hold you accountable for your words, your actions, and help make you a better person, because the people you surround yourself with will define the kind of person you become. Thank you all very much for watching this video.